Hello artists, so today is going to focus on the 3 months of drawing I did at the Royal Drawing School in the Drawing Intensive and exactly what that did for my practice. For those who don't know, the Drawing Intensive is a 3 months intensive course offered to select students who are unsuccessful with their application to the drawing year, which is the postgraduate program at the Royal Drawing School. I recently came out of the intensive myself, choosing 3 10-week courses that ran from January through until March. The classes I chose were Transforming Observation, Memory and Imagination, Drawing at the VNA, and also World Imagery. Each class, generally speaking, had 2 tutors that would rotate weekly. To begin, all I can say is you will come out of this course with a hell load of work. What you're seeing here isn't even everything I have, and bear in mind I stuck to only my sketchbook on the VNA day, so this is just from 2 classes alone. The days run from 10 AM until 5 PM, and you do not stop drawing for 3 whole months. Your fingers turn into pencils. Basically prepare to exceed what you think is your maximum output for making work. One thing I did realize about the Royal Drawing School is that the classes are not designed for you to come in and just essentially continue what you are doing in your studio practice or try and just do your own thing in class. Each tutor will push you in different directions, providing you with references and setups that you're expected to use, and create imagery you might feel unfamiliar with, challenging, or even frustrating at times. For the first 2 or 3 weeks, there was definitely this weird battle with my own artistic ego kind of screaming, I want to do what I want to do, versus actually trying to take the fresh content I was being provided with from the classes and really trying to process that. The tutors I had for Transforming Observation were Danny Markey and Cherry Pickles, who actually both had very different approaches to the class's subject. For Danny's classes, we usually had some form of a setup with a model, alongside new references introduced usually at the beginning of class so we could use them throughout the day. Sometimes these references would be projected throughout the morning and afternoon to almost be used as a guide for how we might want to make work throughout the day. Here you can see the result of a class where we used the work of Piero della Francesca to guide the model into different poses to then form our own version of the work. As for Cherry's classes, I'll have to admit it took me a while to understand her teaching style, as the classes were maybe more practically orientated. They consisted of maybe drawing exercise such as holding a mirror and drawing your own self-portrait while also capturing the room or the setup behind. And at first I was questioning I thought this might be too observational because I didn't want to just come into a class to do, let's just say, standard life drawing or observational drawing. But she continuously referenced artists such as Bonnard and Matisse, who I grew a new appreciation for, because actually when you open up your mind and you look closer at their work, you realize not only how much they really did work from observation, but then how good they got at transforming that observation into their own, obviously, compositions, paintings, work. They became excellent at designing their own spaces. That's a better way to put it. So if you ever see this Cherry, I apologize for probably looking like a miserable fish for the first 2 months. Now for World Imagery, I actually had 4 tutors. I had Richard and Antia for the first 5 weeks, and then Lindsay and Dino for the second half of the term. The sheer volume of references I was exposed to in these classes was just insane, and that's kind of speaking both from a contextual reference point of view and also the observational drawings that I was producing that I could use for my own references when it came to my studio practice. Having known Antia already from her teaching on the Royal Drawing School Foundation course, she has the amazing ability of pumping life into what you might have maybe thought of dry or complex art history and really relating it to contemporary art practice while emphasizing the importance of technical skill. And if that wasn't enough already, the references that Richard provided only added to that. They were so valuable. He was great at introducing work outside of fine art, such as video game art or sketches, storyboard work, and then linking them to other historical references. He also had a really straightforward teaching style, which is really appreciated by someone like myself, because I felt like during my fine art degree, I didn't get enough of that kind of straightforward criticism or questioning personally. For the second half of the term, the days were getting longer and the weather picked up a bit. I particularly remember a nice day out we had with Lindsay, where we visited the British Museum, the Petrie Museum, and the Museum of Zoology, where I did some pretty good drawings in my sketchbook. Last but not least, I experienced drawing at the V&A, with tutors Joanna and Nicola, who introduced me to rooms and areas of the V&A Museum that I never knew existed in the first place. Not that I have a very good sense of direction anyways. I was actually late a couple of times because of getting lost. But as I said earlier, you can't really work on larger pieces at the V&A. So I stuck to my sketchbook documenting specific sculptures, paintings, patterns, spaces, and even at times combining them to create my own busy compositions. By predominantly working with observational drawings, my sketchbook became a valuable resource when it came to translating these references into my own artistic practice. And speaking of sketchbooks, despite the large volume of work outside the sketchbook I managed to produce in those 3 months, I think the most valuable lesson I learned was the importance of having a sketchbook to document what you are seeing, researching and experiencing as an artist, and really having a visual timeline to look back on, reference and create new work with. Now I could easily describe my pre-Royal Drawing School intensive course practice as a shallow, rigid, lacking direction. Now, as much as I still struggle with process and creating imagery, I feel like I've remembered exactly why I chose to take an artistic direction in the first place, and feel like I'm working towards something that is worth my time and effort. It's quite interesting that before the intensive, I really thought that my painting, in particular my oil painting practice, was my strength, and there was a non-existent sketchbook practice. I have never been a sketchbook person up until now, but now it's the complete opposite. I think my sketchbooks are the greatest strength to my practice, and they are the life behind the work that I'm moving forward with. And I've realized that my contemporary interpretations of Renaissance imagery are just But to end on a positive note, if you are looking for a fresh approach to your practice, then do click here on this video to have a tour of my observational sketchbook to see how I built up that sketchbook practice. And here is my awkward goodbye.